wanted to mention. But we'll go on to the next part, probably the biggest, I guess, talking point after this. Now that we know that they have the number 3 pick, the San Francisco 49ers, who do they get? I mean, a lot of people, apparently there's connections between, there's connections, Shanahan has connections, so I guess all these guys, apparently him and Trey Lance, Lance was at a camp that Shanahan was at and took a photo with them a few years ago. People, that's a bit of a stretch, but I mean, it's draft time. People get crazy. I think they went to Justin Fields' pro day, I believe, if I remember correctly.
Well,
I forget the connection to Fields. Go ahead.
So today was both Mac Jones. I'm going to dive into there's all these crazy connections that I've been hearing about. Okay. So today was both Mac Jones and Justin Fields pro days. Shanahan and John Lynch both went to Mac Jones pro day, while their QB coach and 2 other people, like the director of player personnel and somebody else, they went to Justin Fields pro day. When asked about it, Shanahan said that he has a lot more tape on Justin Fields and a lot more that he's already seen. And so he said that he was sure that he would see Fields in person at some point. So there's, that part. Now the connection to Justin Fields that he has had before is that also, I guess, like Trey Lance, at some, one of those high school, it wasn't the Elite 11, but it's one of those sort of QB camps where they have all these top flight QBs there. Shanahan, I guess, was there as some guest speaker or something, and he met Justin Fields while he was there. I don't know if they took a picture or not, like Trey Lance did, I guess, but so that's the connection there. Now, some theories that have been thrown around are, him going to Mac Jones pro day, that doesn't actually mean anything, because if anyone remembers, his father was the coach of the Denver Broncos, and when they drafted Jay Cutler, apparently his dad had never even met Jay Cutler in person, and they did not go to his pro day. They went to the pro day of some other QB, and it was all smoke screen to try and get their one guy. The one reason I think that's kind of dumb in this situation is I don't think anyone expects Mac Jones or Justin Fields to go in the top 2 picks. So why throw the smoke screen? If anything, it's Trevor Lawrence and then Zach Wilson. If not Zach Wilson, it's not going to be Mac Jones or Justin Fields. If it is, I will be shocked. Just because, Zach Wilson, he put on a show at his pro day, great talent. I think most people are at the point where they feel like he's the number 2 guy. So yeah, I would be pretty surprised if, there's smoke screens going on and all this kind of stuff. But one really interesting point that I've seen floating around, and this backs up the Chris Sims theory, which is that Mac Jones is going to be the number 3 quarterback, is if you look at Kyle Shanahan's sort of track record of QBs that he's had throughout his career, which coincidentally, a lot of people like to think of Kyle Shanahan as this run game guru, which the Shanahans absolutely are. Their zone blocking scheme is amazing. But also, if you look at the quarterbacks he's used, they've all had their best years under Kyle Shanahan. Matt Schaub, when he was with the Texans, he had a Pro Bowl year. He looked like a great quarterback when he was there. And as we all know, Matt Schaub, he wasn't an amazing QB, but he was really good when Kyle Shanahan was there. Matt Ryan, obviously, everyone knows he won an MVP while he was there in Atlanta. They went to a Super Bowl. Even looking at RG3 when he was in Washington, RG3, Rookie of the Year, best season by far. After that, steep drop-off. There's a lot of reasons as to why, but, Shanahan wasn't there anymore. Also, even thinking another thing in the draft, obviously they picked RG3, but a really interesting note is they also picked Kirk Cousins. Yep. And a lot of people theorize, and it's not fully theory, but there is some backing to this, that the owner wanted RG3. That was the guy he wanted. I think that, that's even backed up in the fact that Dan Snyder was, for some reason, trying to be best friends with Robert Griffin. He would come down to the locker room and talk to him all the time, all this kind of stuff. So he really wanted RG3, was enamored with him. The Shanahans apparently did not want him. They wanted Kirk Cousins. They got Kirk Cousins later. Kirk became their guy. All of that to say, if you look at the similarities between Kirk, Matt Ryan, Schaub, all these guys, they're the stereotypical, pocket passer. These are not guys who necessarily require to be, mobile. Although for anyone who thinks Mac Jones is unathletic because he has a dad bod, you're completely wrong. He's very athletic. I think he's very similar athletically to Tua, honestly. And Chris Sims even brought up a good point that if he had the physique of Tua, then everybody would be talking about how Mac Jones is the number 2 quarterback in the class.
He's just a little
Um,
pudgy. Not his fault.
yeah, a little pudgy, but hey, you got a
Nothing the
dad
weight,
bod. You
nothing
got a
an
dad.
NFL weight room can't fix.
Right,
It's not
exactly.
Jamarcus Russell.
Yeah, look at that picture of Christian McCaffrey in the offseason. Dude looked jacked. Anyway, so all that to say, there is some historical backing that maybe they don't want. No, sorry, maybe Kyle Shanahan does not want a mobile quarterback. I mean, he saw firsthand that when you have a mobile quarterback, that can lead to potential injury risk, like RG3 did. And even if you look back to when they traded for Jimmy Garoppolo, also another guy, not mobile at all. They wanted Tom Brady, and Tom Brady's like the least mobile quarterback ever. So to me, at this point, it seems like Mac Jones is the option just because if you look at Kyle Shanahan's track record of who he's used, it seems like Mac Jones is more similar to those guys. The only thing that I think could really throw that off is maybe Kyle Shanahan has some new wrinkle that he wants to add to his offense that is trying to evolve with the current NFL and get more like the Ravens have done with Lamar Jackson. And maybe he goes after a Fields or a Lance at that point. I don't think so, because once again, Kyle Shanahan has had immense success with guys like Jimmy G, Matt Ryan, Matt Schaub, etc. So, yeah, if I had to put money on it, I'm thinking it's Mac Jones, but who knows? It's the NFL draft. Anything can happen.
Yeah, so I'm pretty much in the same boat as you. Unless Zach Wilson doesn't get taken at 2, it's going to be Mac. Like the point to me, I'll just expound. I mean, Mac, like I mentioned in the breakdown, I think he's, besides Wilson, the best natural thrower, especially in terms of accuracy. I mean, I'm not talking about completion percentage. I'm talking about putting the ball where he wants to. He can make all the short, intermediate, long throws, and you got to think about it too. San Francisco's, they're still in their Super Bowl window, and for right now, they have to capitalize on that because as soon Nick Bosa's in I think a year or two, he's going to be an extension. They already have cap issues, or not cap, but they're already going to be tight on cap. And these wide receivers, both Deebo Samuel and Ayuk, I know Ayuk's already 1 year, but Deebo's already 2 years in. Deebo's going to need an extension in a couple of years. So yeah, I think getting Mac Jones, you stay in that timeline. If you get Justin Fields, just once again from my perspective, it's going to be a growing for the first year. Just going to be a lot of growing for Justin, especially if he's starting. And then so yeah, I do agree with you. I think Mac is the favorite to be a 3, also because to play like you mentioned, pro style offense, playing a pro style offense and at Alabama. I mean, he was already. I saw an interview. He was already talking because someone already asked him about, how do you feel about the 49ers offense or something of the sort, and he was already, talking about, oh yeah, I love their motions, this and that. So he already has familiarity, it seems like, and he already kind of likes it. So yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised if he already has a nose that that's where he's probably going to go if Zach Wilson is not taken at 2. So yeah, I think that's the most likely choice. And as we mentioned before, for Jimmy G, I feel like this next month or so is building up to. I know we've talked about Lance before, and I'll just bring him up because we didn't. I don't think he even goes top 10, and that's no offense. He's just a raw prospect, and I know people are comparing him to Josh Allen, but Josh Allen played a lot more and had a lot more experience in college. I think he even had more attempts. It's just we need to see more Trey Lance. I think as a G. I mean, we saw with Mitch Trubisky. He only had 1 year starting. It's kind of similar comp, if you ask me. Very good athlete, good arm. He was taken at 2, Mitch, and we saw what happened. Especially the fact that there are other things. Different coordinators switching and things like that. But it was obvious Trubisky needed more time. So I think teams are going to err on the caution of that, especially in the COVID year. And I think Lance will fall out of the top 10. I wouldn't be surprised if he falls out of the first round, but who knows? Teams are weird. Maybe some team will be really high on him. I thought Jordan Love was going to fall out of the first round, and I looked pretty stupid on that. And it even hurt. There's my Packers. But yeah, I would say Jones. And if it's Zach Wilson, I mean, I'm sure the 49ers will do a backflip if the Jets blow it. And not really blow it, but if they don't get Zach Wilson, I'm pretty sure the 49ers, they're going to be running. They're going to send that pick in right away. And then also one more point, I think just the fact that they got this pick early, they get more time to do their homework on their quarterbacks. If something happens, we have a Laramie Tunsil like situation on draft day with Mac Jones, something comes out, then they can still, this gives them time to do more to do all the homework on on Justin Fields as well. So it's very smart on them to send both people there. I did see Kyle Shanahan. He mentioned, now we don't have to hide. Now that we're at 3, we don't have to act like we're not interested or not. Like, we can be interested and not be too worried that someone's going to take him in front of us. So smart move by the 49ers, and they're pretty upfront about that. But anything else you want to mention, or that about it?
I would say the only thing that I think could really throw a wrinkle and stuff is if the Jets trade back, because then you have no clue who's trading up. You have no clue who they want. Maybe they want a Justin Fields. Maybe they want a Mac Jones. I don't know.
But regardless, once again, like we mentioned, if the team trades up, you're still good. Like, if you still get one of your guys.
Yeah,
in that situation.
That's exactly what Shanahan said. He said, we are comfortable with the options that we would have at 3, which I think that's clearly stating if for some godforsaken reason Trevor Lawrence is there, they're going to take him. If for some reason Zach Wilson falls, they're comfortable with that. If both of them are gone, they are cool with any of the other quarterback options they might be evaluating. So, once again, I applaud the Niners for paying the price, going up, getting their guy. I think that maybe even that Matthew Stafford trade that McVay pulled off, maybe that put a little jealousy in Shanahan's heart, because we know that they're both in very similar boats of really smart offensive coaches sort of being held back by their quarterbacks. Also, at least currently, we did touch on this. They have thrown out the thing that they don't plan to get rid of Jimmy G this year. If that does remain true, then maybe that's something they'll take into account, is maybe they're willing to take a guy who they feel has higher potential, but they want to sit a year. I don't believe that's going to happen. I know you don't believe that's going to happen. So I think that NFL readiness is a key piece in who they're looking at. But regardless of who they take, we're talking about Kyle Shanahan. So I fully believe that whoever they take, number one, they've done their homework on him. They believe that he's going to be a really good quarterback. And then that makes me believe he's going to be a good quarterback, because as we've seen historically, Kyle Shanahan can make anybody look good.
Yeah, he's had some pretty. You only mentioned a few, but had to deal with Brian Hoyer, Johnny Manziel. I think the Browns still had solid offense then too. We all know he can make any running back look good. Isaiah Crowell there for a while. So, And then just one more note too, because there's a lot of. I will say, because people are like, oh, why would you go up to 3 to take Mac Jones? He's not the third best player in the draft, and obviously I would agree with that. But like we mentioned before, you got to go get your guy. And I think also the thing I did like too is because moving to 3, because they could have moved to 4 or 5, but moving to 3 ensures that. And right now we don't know what Atlanta's going to do. Like, I feel like Atlanta's the big mystery at 4. We kind of know what the Bengals are doing. Actually, apparently there's a lot of Trey Lance talk in Atlanta, which I don't know if that's true or not. Who knows? But and then, like I said, at 5, do you want to trade to 5? Because that's once again 2. Someone can piggyback 2 spots ahead of you, and then. Even then, the Bengals, they may go wide receiver, they may go offensive lineman. So, but still, don't really know what they could do, and they could also trade back to get their receiver and lineman. So it was a very smart move, just to, I won't say chicken out, but to not be afraid to give up more to make sure you get to 3. Because some teams we've seen in some years where they kind of inch up there, they get to like 4, and then all of a sudden maybe their guy gets taken, and then they're kind of in scramble mode. So. Great for the 49ers. We'll see how this pans out. It is a gamble, but I think it's a necessary gamble because, I'll say it one more time, Jimmy G's a solid quarterback, but injuries have just been a big concern, and he also has, so it's a reality in the NFL. You got to be, Herm Edwards, the availability is the best ability or something of that sort. So, but, short podcast today. But hopefully we'll get back with you next one. We will be doing probably a mock draft here soon. I think we're almost we're less than a month away from the draft, so we got to get on that. But other than that, hopefully if you have any questions, concerns, comments, as per usual, if you're watching on YouTube, leave a comment, rate, subscribe there. Also, wherever the heck you're listening, you can do that too. Our Instagram is @ShutUpAndBallPod. Facebook is ShutUpAndBall. And then we have a Twitter, which is at @ShutUpAndBall as well. But you can feel free to leave us comments. And that is my trash alarm. I apologize. We leave comments and things like that. But that's going to wrap it up for today. Next week we will. Oh, actually, this is the same week. I don't know why I thought it was the end of the week. My mind's. I want it to be the end of the week. All right, we'll be talking basketball later the week, and then obviously be back with football next week. But